Hello, and welcome to a two-parter of Hearts of Wulin. We are playing one session this week and another session next week. These are 3-hour sessions. This is part of the Gauntlet Gaming Calendar, which is an online gaming club / community. And you can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. As I mentioned, we are playing Hearts of Wulin, which is a game of wuxia melodrama. In these kinds of stories, these are stories where characters often can't express their true feelings, where that kind of works against them, where they talk around the subject. Our characters are heroes, wuxia, which means that you're part of a world which is slightly outside the real world of people, or even the real world of the imperial houses, wandering heroes of various types. This is a game of melodrama. I'm going to talk about what that means in a second. Our touchstones for play are Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Hero, but they're also TV shows like Smiling Proud Wanderer, and more recently, things like I've forgotten the name of the big show that's on Netflix, The Untamed, which is awesome and has a lot more sort of supernatural elements to it. In our version, our fantastic version of China, your characters have extraordinary athletic abilities, fighting skills, but again, you are still bound by your heart. So our concept is of heroes working together, but kind of torn apart by their longings, their passions, and societal structures. So the way that this is going to play out today is we'll begin with the character creation. You'll choose a playbook that represents an archetype. We have 6 of those archetypes. And then within each of those, there's 3 different roles. You'll choose one of those to kind of fit with your character. You'll develop that and make some choices, and we'll talk about how that works in the character creation process of things. But at that point, we'll do introductions, and we'll build our web of entanglements for our characters. Entanglements are really important in terms of the way we play. They are triangles. They are your relationship with one character and how it's complicated by your interactions or relationships with another character. And you're going to be developing a romantic entanglement and a regular entanglement after we do introductions. In terms of play, once we've got those connections made, I'll lay out an inciting incident. In this case, it's going to be that all of you are traveling to a particular wedding. Plot is less important than sort of character interactions and melodrama as we go along with that. We'll play out our NPCs, we'll bounce off each other, and we'll see how that goes. So that's sort of the aim of play in the course of this. Our tone is melodramatic. In these stories, emotions, reactions, passions, all of that is heightened. And as I said before, our characters try to maintain their facade in the face of those trials. We're trying to play things straight, serious, but not grim. There's certainly room for humor, but it ought to complement what we're doing. Characters may be laughing in one scene, enjoying each other's company, but in the next scene, they may be cradling their dead lover in their arms. It can be a whiplash of things. In terms of our subject matter, our stories are certainly going to involve combat to settle issues large and small, but combat is resolved fairly quickly. It's more about the build-up to what a combat means, to what a conflict entails. You'll be working to aid your family in these stories, but also trying to carry out your own agendas. So there may be questions of betrayal, heartbreak, romance, all of those things involved. I also want to mention that the world that we're inhabiting is a fantastical version of China. This is drawn primarily from stories that were written in the 50s and 60s by authors like Gulong and Jin Yong. And then were adapted many, many times into TV series and movies and things like that. It is those long drama adaptations that inspired this work, and it's kind of what is for the real source material. But this is not a real China. We're going to try and treat this material as respectfully as we can because it's really cool, and try to emulate that and capture the feel of it. One thing I do want to mention, I know all of you are aware of this, while we can do voices for our characters, we don't want to do accents. Don't do that. That's just kind of off the table. So with those things in mind that kind of run through of cats and tone and all of that, I guess I would like to talk about our safety tools that we have here. So in the Keeper, on the Lines and Veils tab, I know all of you are familiar with this, but I will walk through it. We have our Lines and Veils, lines being anything that is a hard line. We don't want to see that at the table. We don't want to have that in the game. That's not something we want to have as a topic. Veils being anything that, if it appears at the table, if it appears in the game, we're going to fade to black on it, or we're only going to refer to it at a distance. So those are things that are present, mentioned, but not dwelt on. And then ask first in our chart here means anything that you are okay with checking in with doing that, but you definitely want to check in before we come to that. While we're doing character creation, while we're going through that, take a chance, if you haven't already, to look at those lines and veils and ask first and mark that. When we get to the introductions, after sort of basic character creation, I'll go through this again. We'll see where we are. This is a living document, so it can be added to. If there's something that is a line or a veil for you and it's not listed there, please feel free to add onto this list. So that's number one. That's our base level of safety that we're going to be using. The second level up is that we are using the X card, and we're using it in a kind of a broad approach. You can say X card, or you can do the gesture to sort of mark X card. You want a block for that. That's easier than if you put it in the chat. Sometimes I'll miss it, so I ask that you do that. With the X card, you're marking something that you find objectionable, that you find problematic, that you find hitting on something that is bothering you. These are all reasons to X card. You don't have to justify when you present an X card. You don't have to defend. I may ask a question to see exactly how far back we need to go. But if you X card something, we excise it, we come around to it, cutting it out. The other uses for the X card is if you find that something has gone wildly off tone. Give me 1 second. I'm going to bring in our fourth player. Chris, we've got the lines,
I
veils,
filled
and
this out
okay.
ahead of time.
Excellent. X card is, as I was saying, is also on the table for a number of purposes for everyone. Feel free to use that. Something I hadn't mentioned before that I want to mention is one good place for the X card is if you find that we're heading towards something that is marked as a line or a veil, and maybe we haven't caught onto that. That's a good point to X card to kind of stop us and maybe recalibrate on that. So those are a lot of reasons that we can be using the X card in play. The last tool that we have is we are using the open door policy, which means that if you need to step away, if you need to leave for whatever reason, feel free to do that. It'd be great if you could tell us that you're going to be back or not, but that's not obligated to do that. But we understand that things in the real world can impact, and sometimes you have to step away. The additional note that goes with that is if we get to the end of this session and you're like, that is not the game I thought it was. That is not the game I want to play. And you're like, I don't want to go back to a second session of that. It is absolutely legit to do that, to just say, not coming back. You should never be forced or feel obligated to play in a game that you are not enjoying. So I think that's really important to have there on the table. So that's our set of safety tools we're using to keep things managed and calibrated through this. What I want to do now is move to our character creation process, go through and check in sort of order of entry into the call with people and see like what playbooks you might be thinking about. We have a bunch of really interesting ones there and different roles. Ideally, we were going to get everybody with a different playbook on the table. Is everybody cool if I just kind of ask, or does anybody want me to run through what the options are? I'll just check before. Hearing none, I will come. Austin, you are first on the call. Do you narrowed it down to which playbook or playbooks you're thinking about?
I was thinking student temple wanderer.
Okay. I like a person who has a strong sense right out of the gate, because my wife would go, well, here are the 5 that I want to play, and would just eliminate one. So awesome. So student temple wanderer. Paul, your choices are now from 5 choices.
I have 2 I could go for, either outsider wanderer or unorthodox accidental.
Okay. All right, so we got that narrowed down to 2. Mona.
Those were the I didn't see you there, Mona.
Mona, let me come to you. Have you thought about what you would like to play?
I was thinking Bravo, favored eldest.
Absolutely. Okay. So we've got the Bravo on the table. And Chris, you were saying that the outsider and the unorthodox are the 2 that you were thinking?
and my 3rd was Bravo, favorite eldest.
Okay.
So
I'm
stronger. Slighted yet again by my propensity to stay late at dinner.
There we go. So if Paul were to pick one of those 2, would you be cool with the other one?
Yeah.
So Paul, I put it all in your hands here.
I'll take the unorthodox then.
Okay, unorthodox accidental, and you are going to do the outsider wanderer, Chris?
I was thinking trickster.
Okay, absolutely. These are all good.
Maybe rebel. I don't know. One of the outsiders.
Take a look.
I'll take a look.
So there is a tab for character creation that walks through the steps. You're going to do your character's look and name. You're going to come up with your fighting style, and what weapon. You're going to give a name to that fighting style. You're going to choose one of the 5 elements for it. You're going to assign your stats, which are those elements. We've got a +2, +1, +1, 0, -1. And then you'll choose your role move. And you'll also choose 2 playbook moves. If you want, you can just choose one of your 2 playbook moves and hold off and choose the other one in play. It is up to you. But that's how far I'd like you to go up to. Choose a column on the character keeper and move up to there. And once we get to there, we'll stop and we'll do introductions, and then we'll talk about entanglements. Keep in mind that for the elements, in most cases, you are choosing what you want to roll. There are very few moves that have set stats. The only ones to do is if you're fighting, you always roll with whatever element you set for your combat style. And then for inner conflict, when you're wrestling with your emotions, you just can't roll with your combat style. So those are the key things here. So I'm going to let everybody loose on this and stop talking. And I'm going to sit here awkwardly and answer questions as are needed. And I'm also going to pause the recording, so there's not this big gap.
Imagine him at...
Sorry, I hit the record but there. So
no problem. Yeah. So my character is Ning Yao. He is a monk that has basically been told to kind of leave the monastery for a time and get to know the real world so he can decide if this is the life he wants to live. I don't normally that's not really a part of the Buddhist process, but I know like I'm imagining it as kind of like a rumspringa, like a thing that maybe this temple in particular does. So he gets the opportunity to decide. He's kind of basically going out and trying with open eyes and an open mind to see how everyone in the world works outside of like this small monastic like group that he's lived in his entire life. The style I made, I called Unveiled Eye style.
Ooh, I like that.
The idea basically being like and like a lot of wuxia, the like kind of Buddhist monk characters often will like use improvised weapons, and the idea basically being like they can just kind of like understand how things flow. So I wanted something like that, a very kind of flowing, kind of patient style that focused on like understanding and seeing how things were going, and just kind of like doing slight movements to kind of like trip somebody up or something like that.
How old do you imagine they are? Pretty young?
Probably pretty young. I would say 17 or 18, maybe.
Okay.
Like I kind of had this idea of them being like kind of like a model student almost in this compound, like, you know, way above their years in understanding like the style and like very, very upright and like kind of like a Labrador retriever of a person.
Okay.
But that's partially why that they were encouraged so much to go out and kind of keep an open mind, because they wanted them to be able to see the other side.
And you said that this is a thing that your temple does, or do you think it was that you were pushed particularly because of your skill?
You see, I'm kind of like oscillating.
Okay.
I kind
Well,
of
let me ask you this. Were you born there? Were you an orphan? Did you come from a wuxia family that sent you to the temple? Where do you think you are from originally?
I definitely think it's like an orphan scenario where they did not, you know, or rather, Ning Yao, he didn't really have a family outside of this monastery. Like, I mean, if we need to kind of tie other characters in, because I just know that particularly like with Hearts of Wulin, there's a lot of like need to tie the characters together. I would be okay with it being like, oh, he's actually like the nephew of the abbot of this monastery or something.
Sure. We can leave that open. One of the things we're going to assume is, because we're going to be building those entanglements, is that you have been out on the road for a while, which would have given you time to meet people and engage in these social things. What did you choose for your moves?
So the moves I chose were Rage and Passion. So after a roll where someone has embarrassed themselves or offended somebody else, on a hit, I can basically change something said to make it softer or more appropriate. And I chose Smiling Proud Warrior as the other one. Basically, you know, this is the chance to go out and see and learn the world. So once per scene, I can ask a question from the study move without rolling.
Excellent. All right, I think that gives us a good sense of this. Do you imagine that you're in typical temple clothing as you're wandering, or are you going incognito?
I imagine that, so like the roll move, if I'm wearing my temple attire, locals treat me with respect, I imagine I still have them. Maybe I'm not wearing them constantly, because I feel like that goes against the purpose. But I also realize that there are, you know, it's an important thing to have on.
Yeah.
Occasionally. So.
All right. I think that gives us a good sense of your character. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go around the other introductions, and we'll come back to you and we'll talk about entanglements. There are a curated set of suggestions for entanglements there on the entanglements and names tab. So we've got a set there to consider. However, if none of those appeal, then there's a bigger list down below. And you'll do one from the romantic and one from the general. And something I always say is romantic can be strong feelings of friendship or passion, not necessarily sexual, depending on how your character considers himself. So that is romantic is a certain kind of passion, but doesn't necessarily have to be full on love or unrequited love.
Okay.
All right. So let's move one over and have Chris. Chris, tell us about your character.
Okay, so my character is, I didn't realize we were picking names, not Wulin names.
You can do either way.
It
is completely open, however you want to present.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then it is the son of Storm and Tide, they them pronouns, who is a trickster from a thriving port city somewhere outside of wherever this one shot is taking place. I honestly don't recall the setup off the top of my head.
You're going to a wedding. That's the setup.
Cool. He can crash a wedding. He totally would. Yeah, he's basically just some guy. The fighting style is grasping cuttlefish, which is unfortunately very similar to Austin's ideal. Where although the idea I had is that he like mainly disarms people. Like the first thing they would do is disarm his opponent and then fight with their weapon.
All right. Let me ask you this. So you mark the gender as they them.
Yeah.
So how do they appear? Like, what do they look like?
They are sort of the non-binary, like the icon, aiming for confusion. You can't quite tell. They have very long hair. They're wearing sort of masculine dress, but they have a feminine face-ish. It's very much a sort of like towing the line kind of look.
So this style, this grasping cuttlefish, is this a style you learned from someone, or is it something you invented? How would you imagine that?
I think it is. I think I had a mentor. I had a singular mentor.
All right.
Who you may or may not bring in for ammo later on.
Okay. But the suggestion seems to be raised on the streets, or did you go and
raised on the streets.
Okay. Tell us about. We know your role move. The trickster allows you to talk anybody up. What did you choose for a move there?
I only picked one. I picked House of Traps, which is when you reveal a trap you've secretly set, roll. On a hit, your opponent springs it and it presents an opening. On a 10+, take +2 forward against them. On a miss, the trap raises the stakes and consequences.
Do you appear pretty young? How are you in that?
I think so. I think I'm quite young.
Do you consider, or does Son of Storm and Tide consider themselves a good person?
What is good?
Okay.
How can one be expected to be good on the streets? Certainly, I'm no bureaucrat.
Okay. Awesome. I think that gives us a strong sense of who they are.
Yes, thank you for the questions.
As with Austin, we'll come back and we'll look at those entanglements with you. Next up is Paul. Paul, tell us about your character.
Hi, everyone. I'm Paul. My pronouns are he, him. My character's name is Meng Tien. He has a gentle face, is usually very unassuming and as a person, but he has very lively eyes when you look at him. Much like the previous character, he also grew up his first part of his childhood as a commoner, but he always thought that the martial artists he saw were incredibly interesting and what they did looked really fun. He tried a lot of different schools that didn't really work out until one master saw his talent, and instead of teaching him a specific style, they chose to just help him develop his natural talent and gave him like just solid fundamentals. And after that, Meng just had so much more fun fighting people. Things were just like went a little bit better for him. His master to train him, but he just thought it was a game, just brought him to multiple different fighting schools where he beat people pretty handily. And eventually, this traveling child prodigy almost to everyone else, and got the eye of one of the lords or ladies, or let's call it a lady, and became her ward. And yeah, the moves I took. So the move for accidentals that you don't have a specific style element, but I kind of can fight with whatever I can pick up. My style element is water. So how Meng Tien fights is, it's a different kind of conserved energy. While maybe Ning Yao has very purposeful movements, he kind of just like flows through combat and is just incredibly aware of the most vulnerable parts of movement or body parts, and he kind of just naturally hits those along the way. My moves are 10 miles of peach blossoms because he's from regular common folk and he kind of just like fits in well with them wherever he goes. And my other move is shadow boxing because of how impressive he was when he was traveling around with his master. There are fighters who are fans of him who want him to be their master, but he's just like, oh, no, I'm just having fun. But they still hope one day that he'll open a school and follow him around, helping him out, whether he knows or not.
How old do you think Tian is?
By this point, because it was like took a while to really like develop him, because it takes longer to develop someone you're just like teaching instinctually than like in like an orthodox way. So maybe like not incredibly old, but like just like early 20s, you know.
Okay.
He probably started fighting at a pretty young age.
And so you've become this ward. Is this is the lady who brought you in? Is it a noble house? Is it a wuxia house? Like what kind of status do you think you have?
What's the difference between a noble or wuxia house?
So noble house just means we're looking at a house with wealth and money and so on, whereas a wuxia house would have a tradition of fighting styles and so on.
Well, wuxia house then. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you think the people in the house who already had his training in a style reacted when you came in with this truly unorthodox approach?
The masters were all right with it because adding a new fighter that fights so differently can only make the students better. The students didn't like it because he doesn't look like he's trying very hard, but that's just because even like the basic stuff he enjoys. So like he tries, it just like he just doesn't look like looks very dejected for the most part. And it's kind of just like, hey guys, we do sprints for an hour and everyone's else like dying. And he's just like, all right guys, what's next? And they're just like, dude, come on, let's take it down a couple notches.
I like that very much. I think that gives us a good sense of who they are. We'll as the others, we'll come back to the entanglements. Another thing I forgot to mention about entanglements is we do have a cast of NPCs on the table. On the NPC tab, we have NPCs there, essentially, and actually we have the the groom, Righteous Jade, and the bride, Dawning Joy, there. So when you're coming up with your entanglements, you can go there to pull people in and figure out who they are and so on. Also, in at least one of your two entanglements, you're going to want to include another PC. So you're going to slot a PC into one of those two entanglements. But we will come back to you on that. Mona, would you tell us about your character?
Yeah, so my character is Yang Lihua Xu He. And so I'm thinking she is the heiress for taking opera trope. So they basically they in public to the general public they are a performance trope and they have an opera house. So they are famous and well off. But in secret, they are also a martial arts faction. So like they pick some of their best and ambitious students and like induct them into this inner circle where they are also trained in martial arts. And so Li Hua is like, she is the heiress and I think some of the people, like the students, don't like her because she doesn't appear to be very serious when she's off stage. So they feel like, oh, she's just there because she's the matriarch's daughter and she's not that talented, or maybe she's all coasting on talent and she doesn't work that hard. And so her fighting style is based on the dance movements of the opera. So it's not as improvised as the other player characters, but it's considered somewhat unorthodox by the rest of Wulin because it's not. Because it's origin in dance movements and acting and not martial techniques themselves. And she usually fights with a guandao because that resembles a lot of props they use in performance. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. The order that you are part of, the sort of secret martial society that is at the heart of this, like what is their purpose? Are they a fairly righteous sect, or are they more an orthodox, or are they kind of more villainous? Like, how do you imagine the sort of inner circle that hides behind this opera training to be?
Yeah, I'm thinking they are like, because they are acting in secret, they are not the most righteous kind of faction. I'm thinking they do kind of spy work, like gathering information, because the performance can get to a lot of places and can easily get to important people. So I'm thinking maybe they take favors and do something, sometimes things that the more upright faction doesn't consider to be very, very, very good. Like, yeah.
Awesome. So what did you take for your moves?
All right. So I took Laughing in the Wind because that's the performance one. And also Midnight Ultra because she travels with a wardrobe of costumes.
Awesome, and that's a great move. What kind of person do you have with you? Is it a butler? Is it a handmaiden? Is it an advisor? Like, who's your sort of NPC who's with you?
I'm thinking it's a stage assistant that like does makeup and fix the costumes and generally that kind of thing.
Awesome. I think that gives us a pretty good sense of who she is. We'll come back to you to talk about entanglements here in just a minute. So I'm going to swing back around to the start. Austin, do you want to talk about your romantic or your general entanglement first?
I think I want to talk about my romantic.
Okay.
So I looking at the NPCs, I think oh wait, not Captain Fang. It is Ashen Twilight.
Okay.
My idea is like I every time I try to express my feelings to Ashen Twilight, I imagine that Yang Li Hua gets in the way. Not necessarily because of anything that she's doing wrong, but I think that she's just like this boisterous personality that kind of takes the scene just inherently, and I kind of get cold feet whenever I try to talk to Ashen Twilight because of that. I don't know for sure if it's like if I've decided it's like romantic in nature, like inherently, or if it's just like a deep admiration for the character. Honestly, what it comes down to is I think that artwork looks really cool for her.
Yeah.
That costuming.
I think that's perfect. Mona, are you good with that as your character kind of like, because they're so beautiful and bright and dramatic, you get in the way?
Yeah. It's
Perfect. Okay. So that gives us a romantic. We'll come back to you and ask you about your general here in a minute. Let's come to Son of Storm and Tide. Which one do you want to talk about first, your romantic or your general? Oh, he may have stepped away.
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
Sorry. So,
That's okay.
I was interrupted like minutes ago and just forgot.
That is okay. So which one do
okay.
you want to start with?
Question.
Yes.
Is it cool if I put the bride in one and a groom in the other?
That is 110% right.
Because it's all I can think about.
Absolutely. So which one do you want to start telling us
Let's
about?
start with, I suspect. Hang on. I have a coin. No attention. Okay, I suspect that Dawning Joy knows much of the destruction of my family, but asking them outright would offend. Let me look at characters. Young Li Hua.
So one of the things you're suggesting there, that Young Li Hua, is that you are a friend or acquaintance of the bride. Is that good for you?
Yeah.
Okay. And it also suggests, Son of Storm and Tide, that you have some camaraderie, some friendship. You know Yang Li Hua, and you don't want to offend them. Okay. So that gives us our general. We'll come back to you and talk about your romantic here in just a minute. Paul, Meng Tien, what do you want to talk about first, romantic or general?
General.
Okay.
Mona, would you cool to get another connection real quick? I know we've done a lot of.
It's okay.
Okay. My master, Yang Li Hua, which is, I think is funny because it doesn't look like we're that different of an age, but you look like the type of person to be like, as the same age as person, like, I'm your master now. And Meng Tien will definitely be like, yeah, sure. And then you're like a traveling performer. So that makes sense that you just drop off Meng Tien into the different fighting schools. And our fighting styles are pretty similar. You dance, like I describe myself as dancing through combat. Or is that not good?
I'm just worried that we're maybe like boxing in Yang Li Hua about their background a little too much before we kind of come to them on that. That's my only concern about that.
Then I will, in that case, make the.
Would you be okay with flipping that? I mean, that we come up with one of the NPCs as your master, and maybe
Yeah. I'm about to pick.
Okay, yeah.
Can my master be Righteous Jade? Seems cool. And
so your master is a male rather than a female then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Righteous Jade. Again, seems like the type of person who would say they were my master, and I would just agree. And they have they're secretly betrayed me as a part of a revenge plot against my friend. I would like my friend to be, I feel like a good like back and forth would be me and maybe I'll say Son of Storm and Tide be my friend.
Cool with me.
That is perfect. We'll come back to you. And I'm sorry, this phone ringing. I apologize for that. Talk to you about your romantic here in just a second. Give us a second while I let this phone call screen through. I love how well the do not call list works. So we'll come back to you on romantic. Mona, let's come to you. Which do you want to start with, your romantic or your general?
Yeah, I want to start with my friend has fallen in love with my rival.
Okay. And who is your friend and who is your rival?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe my friend is let me look at everything.
Sure.
I think Captain Feng is my friend.
Okay.
I guess he comes to my performance a lot. And so I'm thinking my rival is one of the player characters.
Ooh. So like a more of a competitive rival than anything.
Yeah.
And who would that be?
Yeah, I'm going to say Meng Tien.
That makes sense.
Does that work for you, Meng?
Yeah,
okay.
That's right. I don't think Meng considers you a rival, though. He thinks you're a friend.
Yeah. It's one-sided.
Yeah.
You perhaps resent Meng's easy grace with apparently like little real effort or training, whereas you have been trained since you were a child, right? To in the opera school. All right, we'll come back and talk to you about your romantic entanglement in just a minute. Let's come back around to Ning Yao. What do you want for your general entanglement?
So I was thinking, I suspect Righteous Jade of evil, but Meng Tien, who I respect, believes in them. That just kind of makes sense, that the idea that like Righteous Jade secretly trained somebody for a revenge plot, and maybe I'm picking up on those vibes. But I also like, and kind of self-doubting because I'm not really like used to this world, and I really respect Meng Tien as
that
a
work
friend. So
work for
I'm
you,
like,
Meng?
Yeah, actually, could I, since you have that entanglement, instead of Sun and Storm and Tide to add to the drama, could I change the plot against my friend Sun, Storm and Tide? Could I change it to Ning Yao instead? Like my master wants, since to like kind of connect those entanglements.
I mean, I think that could work. I think it also could be a thing where I'm just like a casual observer that's kind of like, just because I think that, you know, on one hand, that could work just for drama between the two of us, but there's also like a three-way thing we're doing if you're trying to assassinate Son of Storm and Tide. I don't know.
Okay,
I could see it working either way.
Yeah,
but
I'll stick with my first one then. Yeah, that makes sense. Just add more to the characters then. Yeah.
All right, let's go with that then. And that brings us to Son of Storm and Tide. What do you want for your romantic?
Okay, so I'm adding in the groom whose name Righteous Jade.
Righteous Jade.
And I think Meng Tien, but I don't know how Spite, like, I think I will defer to Paul. Wait, which slot in the sentence, I disguised myself to get close to blank, but blank, their lover, is falling for me. Which of those people would you rather be?
Either way, it implies that they're lovers.
Yeah. So we're creating a love triangle here.
Yeah. Idea with you said Righteous Jade, right? As the other person, right?
Yes.
My idea with Righteous Jade is like, he's my master. But like we've grown close and I kind of want to be like the equivalent of the best man for him.
Oh, okay.
And like a lover. If I was gonna
no, it doesn't have to be lover. It can be like
yeah.
But you're suggesting
like
that you, Son of Storm and Tide, have strong romantic feelings for Meng Tien?
I think so.
Okay.
I also really like the idea of me disguising myself to get close to a person who has a hit out on me.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Actually, am I going to the wedding in disguise?
So here is the question. So I'm gonna pause this here because this is one of those ones where it gets super complicated if we do disguise stuff here, because at that point we have to figure out like how you present yourself to each of the PCs because of your entanglements thing. So if we were doing a series, I would be down with that. But I think for a short term, we're going to get like having tread this ground before. We might want to figure out a variation on that, just because the double identities are going to get really complicated.
I can just pick a different entanglement.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
no, that's fine. I just would like I would have liked a little more warning, but it's overall.
Yeah, I apologize on that. Meng Tien, can I get you to pick your other entanglement?
Yes. I still pursue Yang Li Hua, who rejected me because I can't catch signals that she believes I'm her rival. Despite the interference of, let's say the bride then.
So the bride is getting in there, maybe has some affection for you or for her. Okay.
Ooh, I like it. Oh God, both are fun. So I'm not really sure yet who the bride has affection for.
Okay, well, we will play to find out then.
Yeah.
Mona, let's come back to you and get your other entanglement, your romantic entanglement.
I'm thinking for this one, can I use two NPCs?
100%. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I want to say I am engaged to the Son of Stone and Rust in kind of a political marriage to gain more prestige for my family.
Mhm.
But I have fallen in love with the sibling who is the bride.
All right.
This bride.
Fallen in love with Dawning Joy. So I'm going to now mark that here.
Dawning Joy's having the most scandalous time.
Absolutely.
Righteous Jade is just trying to kill somebody.
Yeah.
But that will change.
Dawning Joy. Okay. Can I swing back to you, Son of
Yeah.
Storm and Tide?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay.
Well, I've picked an entanglement. I've put Righteous Jade in it.
Okay.
I do want to throw this out. So the entanglement is blank, and I love one another, but that will change if they learn of my history with Righteous Jade.
Mhm.
So is anyone of our PCs cool with being in love with me?
So Meng Tien is in love with Yang Lihua,
Mhm.
and Yang Lihua is in love with the bride. So the one who doesn't already have a
Gosh.
love is Ning Yao.
Okay.
But let's check in and see. Austin, are you cool with that, or?
I like that idea. I'm trying to decide. Like on one hand, I'm trying to decide if it's something where like Ning Yao just kind of like in a almost childish way thinks that he has feelings for Ash and Twilight, but he doesn't really understand that he actually has feelings for the Son of Storm and Tide. Like the idea of like, you know, not realizing you're gay or something like that.
Yeah.
If you're
We
cool
could
with
also, if this is
Okay.
another option is to I'm in love with Righteous Jade, and you and I have some sort of scandalous history.
I'm fine either way, honestly. Like if you want to add me to either of them, I can make it work.
I love a good clumsy rom-com relationship, so I think we're in love.
Love you, bro.
and I think one of the things we do have is that Sunstorm and Tide is kind of gender ambiguous. We've established that, so that's an interesting dynamic there.
So,
all right. Yeah.
Can I ask one question?
Mm-hmm.
Just because every time I read Son of Storm and Tide, do we want to make that like Child of Storm and Tide?
Let me change the.
I think I'm just gonna. I kind of liked putting the gendered pronoun in there, but
with the okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just worry that I'm going to misgender them on accident.
I know this is a two-shot.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with dealing with Son of Storm and Tide, and then it being like, oh wait, are they? Like I'm fine with that too. I was just worried I might misgender them.
I think that might be a little hat on the hat for a two-shot, though.
I mean, I'm not against it. I just was kind of curious if other people were gonna think of that.
Storm and Tide is good. I like that.
Yeah,
you know what I'll do is I will also so that actually also gets us a little differentiation from the NPC name. So we're all good there. The last thing I'm going to mention is that for each of your entanglements, you'll pick one person from each of your entanglements that you have a bond with, and you'll write that in under bonds. So you have two people that you have a level 1 bond with. Bonds can be spent as a currency in play to give yourself a +1 after you roll. So I'll let you make those choices. We're going to take our first break here. We're going to take 10, and then we'll come back and introduce our characters, get people on the road traveling to this wedding, figure out reasons behind and what is happening as you're traveling. So I'm going to stop the recording. We'll take 10. Big wedding of two martial factions, important wedding. Ning Yao, why is this wedding so important?
So this wedding is mainly important because these two factions kind of had a long history of fighting and like, you know, a long rivalry. And this has been construed at least as a bit of a Romeo and Juliet story.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, it's probably a little bit actually that they're kind of being forced together. But there's an idea like the romanticism helps sell the like idea of like these two factions being forced to kind of be bonded.
I like that. And Storm and Tide, what is the like central motif or image, like a phoenix or a hawk or a tree or something for this wedding?
It would have to be two things.
Okay.
Obviously, joining together. I don't want to say couple bird. That seems obvious. I don't know. Anyone have any
Butterfly.
ideas?
Like two tigers, maybe, or like. Mm,
Hmm.
good.
Butterflies.
Huh?
Oh, butterflies.
Butterflies would be
Ooh,
good.
butterflies. Good. Let's do butterflies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So two butterflies, maybe in the colors of the two families. That's the
Sure.
sort of design, in a sense of kind of a turning circle of those. That's going to be that. There are several butterfly masters who will be attending. Perhaps there's be a whole like butterfly tent there. The Pinterest board is on the link to that's on the Lines of Veils tab.
Okay, thank you.
Paul,
Yes.
Meng Tien, this wedding, this estate, is it outside of a city? Is it in the countryside? Is it on a mountain? Is it in the woods? Is it on an island? Where is the wedding that you're traveling to?
My first thought when you were mentioning it was, yeah, I think the side of a mountain.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, like right next to a cliff.
So big estate, sort of built on to the side of a mountain, kind of carved. There is a sheer drop off that looks down into a misty valley down below. There are just a couple of pathways up to this sprawling grounds.
Lots of bridges, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bridges to get there, and bridges in the place itself. Yang Li Hua. Now, your order, what is the name of the opera school that you belong to?
And then I'm thinking some kind of Black Lotus.
I beg your pardon?
Black Lotus.
Oh, Black Lotus?
Yeah.
So the Black Lotus Opera School. And let me ask you, you're from this secret inner order, and you're going there both because you know a number of the people, but I'm sure that your order has sent you. They're probably fellow entertainers who are going. What does the secret order want to have happen at this wedding? Do they want it to go forward? Do they want something to go wrong? Are they just watching for information? What do you think?
Yeah, I think they wanted it to fail because I'm engaged with some of Stone and Rust, which is also part of the family, because he's a sibling of Downing Joy, and I think the older ones, Black Lotus wants this waiting to fail because they want to consolidate power with Downing Joy's family, and they don't want Downing Joy and what the Bronze name is. Yeah, they don't want Downing Joy and Righteous Jade's factions to make up.
Yeah. If they don't get married, then certainly your marriage of allegiance will be more potent. Ning Yao, why are you going to the wedding? Like, what is driving you to go there?
From my perspective, it is something like, oh, this is a good way to understand this important part of, you know, other people's lives that I don't really have any experience with. It's probably, you know, a lot more complicated than that.
Mm-hmm.
Both with like feelings that I haven't really reflected on for various people in the cast, just because I'm not really allowed myself to do that.
And who is Ashen Twilight at the wedding? You know that she will be there and that you've met her and had a kind of hard time. Who is she?
So she basically was a visiting martial artist, and she's the only person that ever beat me while I was there.
Oh, okay. And why is she at the wedding?
Because she's actually a pretty famous martial artist that I just didn't know at the time.
Oh, okay.
And I've since learned that is like, oh, you got beaten by one of the martial lords. Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
I like that. And Meng Tien, you're clearly going because your master Righteous Jade is getting married. How do you feel about that?
Guy really deserves it. He's so handsome, great at fighting, so many suitors. I'm just really happy that he found someone he really loves, you know?
Absolutely. So, Ning Yao, as you're traveling along on the multitudinous, the many paths that meet up on the mountain, traveling along, you cross paths with Meng Tien. Now you haven't seen him for a while, but the last time that you encountered him and his master, Righteous Jade, you've got a really bad feeling about Righteous Jade, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you see Meng Tien by himself, clearly heading to the wedding, what do you feel? Like how do you address him? It looks like you're going to have to walk the same path.
I mean, I admire Meng Tien. Maybe I've seen him kind of like do his own martial arts, and because of that, I think that he's actually very accomplished, and I respect him. I kind of am skeptical of his master, but it's one of those things where I'd never kind of say that out loud, partially because I feel like I don't quite like it's not that I lack social savviness, it's that I'm not confrontational.
Right. Yeah.
So it's one of those things I definitely try to hide any tension as quickly as possible under the guise of politeness.
So Meng Tien, you see Ning Yao, who you've met before, who a fellow wanderer of the road. How do you greet him?
Oh, hey, Ning Yao. Oh, it's so good to see you.
Oh, it's an honor. And I very quickly bow.
Yeah.
Overly it's courteous.
He awkwardly bows back. He doesn't really understand how to properly bow, but he does. He just goes, "Yeah, what brings you here?"
Oh, I was given an invitation. I was surprised as anybody else, but cool. I thought I would come see. I understand that your master's the one getting married.
Yeah, it's a great day. Yeah, I'm just really happy for the lucky guy.
Yeah. You would know how does he seem like he's handling it? I don't know exactly what would be normal in this circumstance, but there weren't too many people getting married where I grew up. But
yeah, I think And I think he's handling it pretty okay. There was like a lot of meetings before the wedding. He would just go into these back rooms with these men I never knew and just had probably some sort of like flower decoration meetings with them. They would come out. They would be, I think he gave them some new weapons. He's just a nice guy.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mentally writing that down.
Fair enough. So the two of you are walking along, heading along the path. Some other people fall in behind you. There's a carter with an ox and one of those carts with the giant stone jugs of wine on the back, with the seals on them, kind of coming up behind. And you two are heading along. There's like another bridge up ahead, across a chasm, and then there's probably the last like tea house, like stopover station before you finish the last bit to arrive up at the estate. Storm and Tide, you have arrived and taken a bit of a time to relax here at this inn. When you take advantage of these kinds of places, are you, what is your demeanor? What is your approach? I mean, you are a bravo of a kind, or rather a trickster of a kind. What do you do when you reach these places? Are you gambling? Are you looking for things? What is that?
Well, it's only day one of the wedding. So right now I'm everybody's cousin, making as many friends as I can, buying drinks, running up my tab.
Absolutely. You haven't even arrived at the estate grounds. You're taking advantage of the outskirts here to relax. What is your reaction when you see come down from the upper floor of this inn? It's clearly stopping over. You see the striking and beautiful Yang Lihua coming down.
I think I'll make a show of it. I think what I'm going to do is like do an introduction, like raise my glass and go, everybody, the inimitable Young Li Hua has graced us with her presence.
And Li Hua, you were upstairs, stopped, had would you have drunk tea? Would you have drunk wine?
Yeah, I think I'm drinking tea.
Okay, so had some tea. You're coming downstairs, and you will see Storm and Tide, who stands up and very loudly calls the attention of the entire room to you. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I think I bask in the attention, and if Stone and Time means any sarcasm, I'm immune to it. Yeah. So I was like, thank you. Oh, hey, Stormy, I didn't expect to see you here.
Pleasure as always.
So you go over this bit of conversation there. Yang Lihua, you're attentive to people like watching you and watching the room and things like that. I think after Storm and Tide kind of calls out and shouts out, and draws the attention of everyone in the room, you notice that there's a group of people that are close by the door, warriors of some kind, that like when your name is called out, they don't even look. They completely ignored you. Looks like their attention is elsewhere. What's your reaction to that, Li Hua?
I think I order a jug of wine from the innkeeper, and I go over to a table and say, hey, do you want to have a drink together?
Walk up, bring that jug of wine, and I think you will notice that like when you come up and approach them, that their reaction is very, very tense. For a second, their hands go to swords, but then they kind of stop, and the one who seems to be the leader goes, thank you, madam, but we have affairs to attend to, so we must politely decline your offer.
Oh, come on, one drink won't kill anyone.
You want to try and put some pressure on them?
Yeah, let's put some pressure
Yeah.
on them.
I think that's hearts and minds. You're kind of pushing them a little bit. They clearly have another task, but you're going to try and push them. What do you want to roll that with? What does that feel like for you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Earth because it's just presence, like to force my will on. Okay,
Absolutely.
Let me get the dice roll.
Sure.
Say alive. Okay, 2d6. Okay, so I roll 6 plus 2, so 8.
8. So they will decline. Like they push back and decline, but I think that reveals something. What you get to ask a couple questions like about the situation. What is it you want to know?
Do I? The first thing I want to know is, do I recognize them as any particular faction or family from the Wulin?
I think that
identify them as belonging to a specific group or whatever.
I think that you will definitely kind of, as the leader is talking, you realize that he's very well trained, he's skilled, and just the manner and everything makes you think that this is a person with perhaps less savory, less honorable intentions. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your second question?
Obviously, my second question is, what do I think they are doing here?
Well, they are clearly waiting here for a signal to coordinate an ambush on some people coming up the road.
Okay.
So I'm going to come back to you two in just a minute. Meng Tien, Ning Yao, you are traveling around, heading up forward for the bridge. What would you say is your mood here? Anxious, nervous, excited? What do you think, Meng?
I think Meng is excited, and we hear like a tail end of a conversation, and Meng just goes, "Yeah, it's so weird." And I told Master about it, and I just never saw that person again. I think they're doing okay though.
Interesting. Oh, okay. Interesting story. I wonder what happened to them as well. Oh well.
Yeah. It's air's real thin up here, huh?
Yeah. The monastery I used to live in was in quite a similar location, so it's not too bad for me, but definitely is an interesting place to have a wedding, I would say.
And the two of you are heading up, and you get to there's a gorge, there's mist down below, there's the great reinforced rope bridge across a very sturdily built, obviously no chance that it's going to collapse. That the two of you can begin to cross. And you will notice that the cart with the wand behind you kind of stops, and the carter seems to is waiting clearly for you to maybe cross the bridge or to get further along the bridge before he starts out.
I think Meng will be like, "Oh no, sir, you can go ahead," and he kind of jumps on one of the rope bridges, tightrope, side railings.
Yeah,
and he just starts walking out on the side railing like it's a tightrope.
Ning Yao, what about you?
I kind of double take is that I guess I look back to see the reaction from the people in the cart, kind of a little bit concerned about the public face, but then I think this is a wedding between martial sects, so I do the same thing on the other side.
Absolutely, you jump up on the other side. Then the two of you kind of walking on that rope on either rope rail on either side. The wind kind of catches, and you balance with it as the sway of that. And you will notice the carter has not started to cross the bridge, but you do see him take out what looks like maybe a flute and plays a little tune on the flute that kind of carries on the wind.
Is this a tune that we would recognize?
It's very tuneless. It's like just a little trill note. It's unusual. Maybe he's tuning up or something. Certainly not giving a message across the gorge to his fellow assassins.
I think Meng begins to skip to the tune of the flute.
Okay, so you two are in the middle. Storm and Tide, you see that Yang Lihua is being very gracious and trying to engage these people in this discussion, offering them wine, and they are being particularly off-putting, maybe even rude. What do you do?
I think no, I guess I'm too fancy to know these to pretend to know these guards personally.
Yeah, they look like Wulin ruffians.
Then I think I will call the attention of someone at there are several Wulin masters in attendance, right? I will call attention to one of them and be like, I think these guards are here with ill will. They won't even accept the wine. Will you check them out for me, please, cousin?
Let's have you roll hearts and minds.
Okay, this is. I think this feels like water to me because I'm.
Absolutely, I love it when people roll with their combat stat on non-combat rolls, so I can make them mark it and then lose the use of it.
I can always use hearts and minds.
True.
That is an 8.
That is an 8. So you will see this master that is standing next to you kind of looks up and walks over to the table, and even as he's walking over, you'll hear carried on the wind a sound of a flute, and this group stands up, and this person you've talked to goes to reach out to like put his hand on the shoulder of one of these gentlemen, and the figure turns and runs him through with a blade.
Ooh.
Yang Lihua, they're still kind of in the middle of this conversation. Suddenly the figures stand up at the table with you. Another bystander has come over, and then suddenly blades are out. And this bystander that was called over is suddenly run through with a blade. What do you do, Lang Lihua?
That's no good.
Well, I don't think I currently have my weapon on me, so I grab the nearest broom and use it.
Ooh,
And
yes.
I just hold it in a like a forearm, and I say, I say to the people, the suspicious people, like, no, that's not very nice. There's no way to treat your fellow travelers.
The leader type, barks an order for the men, and they move to engage you. As this leader type goes to kind of move to step in the doorway to kind of look outside to see what is going on. We're going to come back to you two in just 1 minute to resolve where that's at. Stormin, Meng Tien, Ning Yao, you hear a tsh, tsh, tsh behind you, and you see the tops of those giant wine jars pop open, and you will see these figures leap out, and they have hatchets in hand, and you'll see a group of a half a dozen of them, and they land by the end of the rope bridge there, and they begin to hack at the ropes.
Are we closer to that side or the other side?
They have waited till you're in the middle.
Okay. So I'm going to say it's actually probably a good idea to get to the other side away from where they are, because then they can't follow us and we'll be on the side that we're supposed to be on. So I'm going to start running that way, and I'll basically take my mala off of my hand to kind of use as like a, if I need to, like kind of wrap around something to hold myself secure if I need to.
Absolutely. And what about you, as your companion starts running towards the other side as quickly as he can? What do you do?
I see him running across the side really quickly, and I look towards that direction, but I hesitate because I see Yang Lihua there. I was like, oh God.
Yeah. In that inn over there, yeah, you can just make it out.
And kind of just like obliviously, just like standing in the center, just like really thinking about it.
Does this feel like you're having an inner conflict? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah,
so here's the good news. The good news is, because you're rolling inner conflict, you get to mark XP.
Sweet. You love XP.
Yeah. And it only takes 4 XP to get an advance.
Love it.
So tell me, what do you want to roll? You can roll anything except your style element.
I would like to roll Earth.
Okay.
Because he's thinking to himself, okay, I know it was embarrassing last time I saw her, but this time, just be careful around this time around.
That seems perfect.
All right, 2d6 plus 1. That is going to be a 9.
That is a 9. So you can kind of like stay there to avoid the situation, or you can mark an element and pull yourself together.
Yeah. No, I'd rather face the guys with the hatches than go see Yang Lihua.
Yeah.
So I start like walking back, just turn around in a circle and just like start walking that direction.
Ning Yao, I would like you to roll overcome to get to the end before this bridge goes.
Sorry, overcome. Does that use
Anything you want.
anything?
You can roll
Okay.
anything you want.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna use wood.
Okay.
So let me just roll 2d6 plus 2. Roll.
Look at that. What does
That's
that
an
look
8.
like? What do we see on screen?
Oh, an 11. Okay.
Yeah, you are awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, I am going to overcome. So I am going to basically, I guess like just in the closest way that you could sprint while running on a. Actually, you know what? I realize that maybe it'd be better if I was actually on the wooden planks. I jump down so I can run faster. That's
Okay.
my overcoming.
Your lightness carrying, you'll carry even as you hear the sound of the crack and you see that bridge give, though you see that your friend Meng has not followed you and in fact is running back the other way. But as you get onto the end, you see that there are a group of people here who've clearly been sitting and kind of waiting. And when you arrive, this group of hench persons outside, they're like they stand up, blades at ready.
Okay. I just kind of swing my mala around and like kind of wrap it around my hand.
Okay, perfect. Let's come back to Storm and Tide. This situation is happening outside. You can hear the crack and the sounds and stuff, but inside the inn, here you are, and there's clearly a leader, probably a named Wulin. You don't know what his scale is. You don't know how tough he is, but there's a group of troops who have kind of interposed themselves and are there kind of blocking out you and Li Hua. What do you want to do? What's your goal here, Storm and Tide?
Oh, that was to me.
Yes.
Wait. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. No, it's first session, getting the names down, remembering who's who. That's all good.
I also just I got distracted. I missed the first half of that sentence.
Okay.
But so sorry, how many people are now attacking us?
So there's no one necessarily attacking. So you're in this inn.
Okay.
There's clearly a named Wulin. You don't know what scale he is. He's in the doorway. He's looking outside. And you hear there's stuff going on outside. And I think you can see some of that through the window there. He's there, but then the troops, the other people that were at the table have stood up and are kind of between you and Li Hua and the doorway.
Okay. How about that guy who was stabbed? Is he dead?
He has fallen to the ground, clutching the wound there.
I think I will go to him and sort of help him up and say, well, that went to shit very quickly, didn't it?
So basically you want to kind of protect and get him out of the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of angling to put him in my debt for later.
Oh yeah, I like that. Let's give him a name right now. We will call him, just because I like the martial names, we will call him Skyfire Z.
Ooh.
And you may mark a bond with Skyfire Z as you pull him back to safety. Li Hua, you are there. There's some stuff going on outside fighting wise. You will see Ning Yao come running, off of the bridge. But right now, between you and the outside, you've got this Wulin villain and these troops. What do you want to do? You have a broom, which is just as effective as any weapon because you know how to use this with amazing skill.
So there's one person. There's one person guarding the door, right?
Yeah, the troops are kind of in front of you, kind of blocking you. But then there's this other guy, the leader, the one who was talking to you before, like he's gotten in the doorway to clearly make sure that nobody gets out of the inn.
So what are like everyone else, like the other people at the inn, what are they hiding or?
Looks like most of the other people in here are simple merchants and travelers, and they don't want any part of this. They're getting to the other side of the room like, nope, we're not going to get stabbed.
Yeah, so I think I will try to take down the guy at the door so people have a chance to get out.
Okay, so you are going to rush him to try and engage him?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there are a couple of these named guys. This figure is on your scale. So you move to engage. You've got your broom out. So we look at duel. And we're going to be rolling with if your scale is the same as your foes. So go ahead and roll with your style element. Ooh, so that is
7.
That is 7. So you have a choice then, because they're on your scale and you rolled in that 7 to 9 bracket. You can win at a cost, meaning that you mark an element, they get away, you look bad doing it. You can lose and mark XP, but you get to tell me how you lose. Or you can deadlock with them and get to reveal a detail or ask a question about them. What do you want?
Yeah, I think I'm going to choose that I win, but they escape.
Okay, so tell me what that looks like. When you come in at them, he draws out his straight blade. You come in with the broom. Like, what do we see happen on screen? How do you force him back and kind of overwhelm?
I think I actually sweeping off his feet, so he fall down. But like at the last moment, he puts his palm on the ground and like bounce back and like somersault out of the way.
Yeah, it falls back, and like he clearly wasn't thinking that you were anything. He saw the Peking opera dress. He saw how you were. He didn't think you were a warrior at all. And suddenly you're up on him. You've knocked him down. Ports back. He rolls back, and you see him rethinking, like what he's going to do. We'll come back to you in just 1 second, but you've cleared the doorway and you can see outside. Meng,
Yes.
I assume you're going to try to get to the other side to engage before this bridge completely gets cut right at
Mhm.
the last minute.
Yep.
I think that's overcome.
All right. So Meng, as he sees them go through the hatch, it's like, not good, not good, not good. And he starts like rummaging through his pockets, and he like finds like a bunch of like loose coins. And it's like, okay. And he like sees the people who are going to do the most damage to the bridge in the shortest amount of time, and will flick coins into their eyes real quick just to stun them enough to give him enough of a chance to get across the bridge.
Okay, yeah, let's have you roll overcome for that.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I will do, I think, probably Earth,
Okay,
just because I have to focus in on the target as they chop down the bridge I am on.
that seems perfect.
All right. That is an 8.
That is an 8. So I think that you will like delay them enough, but there's that last moment when they cut that last bit and you've got that like 10-15 foot gap to cross, and you leap, and you do that kind of grab on, like slam into the side and have to pull yourself up. Mark Earth.
Yeah.
Kind of knocks the wind out of you, but you're up there with these hatchet troops that are there.
Be like hanging on it, and then they're all staring down at me. And it's like, oh, hey guys.
Hatchets come up.
Yeah.
Ning Yao, these troops have kind of moved over to engage you as you come running off the bridge. You see, there's this group of troops. They have a leader behind them, and he's clearly dispatched them to finish you off.
Sorry, I must ask, why would you need to kill a simple monk?
That is our business, monk. Finish him.
Understood. And I kind of take like a very neutral stance with my hand with the mala wrapped around it, kind of a head in a loose position.
And the troops are going to move in on you. So this is deal with troops. And you can roll this using your style element.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Same roll. I roll, a 5.
Okay.
Oh wait, I don't think 3.
Okay. Let's see. That was a 2d6 plus 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. It was I rolled a 1 and a 2.
Okay. So this is not great. Now you could burn both your bonds to make that a 7, but if we look at deal with troops are easy to deal with. You have to choose. You can have their numbers overwhelm you and you have to retreat rather, or you win at a cost.
Yeah, I will say that, just because it won't benefit me to burn anything, I'm not going to. Let's see. There's something that feels very appropriate about like the non-violent solution. So I'm gonna, take that position and then immediately run around them.
Okay. So you have to fall back. They are coming in unexpected. You get to mark XP, but you're kind of off your footing here. Certainly, it weren't expecting this to happen, and you're at a little bit of a disadvantage here. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I would say that's fair. I'm trying to avoid anything too crazy.
And here's the thing is, when you look back, you realize that Meng is not with you, and he is on the other side of that gorge because you didn't go with him. He is lying at the mercy of these people, and you've run away. Let's come back to our Storm and Tide. Storm and Tide, you've got Skyfire Z to safety. Li Hua has forced this guy out the doorway. There's still these troops there, and there's some fighting going on at the cliff by the bridge that got cut. What do you want to do?
Well, it's time to get involved. Let's head out and onto the battlefield. I would like to fight alongside Li Hua if possible. If not, just carve my way as theatrically and visibly as possible.
Absolutely, you can put yourself right next to Li Hua as she's just finished off and sent this leader tumbling. If you want to deal with these troops.
Oh, of course.
Then go ahead and roll your style element.
Cool. That is an 8.
That is an 8. So on an 8 there with the deal with troops, you defeat them. Like, tell me what that looks like. Like, you've got your improvised weapon. They're a group of like 5 of these guys. They've got their like kind of jerkins on. They've got their weapons out. You go into the middle of them. How is it that you take them out?
I think I don't think I pick a single weapon to use.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm mostly just disarming them because it's so easy and they're so slow. So
is it knocking the weapons out of their hands, or is it plucking them from their hands? What does that disarm look
so
like?
it is I have them all in a big circle around me. I am grabbing their weapons and sort of using them as projectiles, just hurling, like disarming one guy, throwing it at another guy, grabbing a third guy's weapon, and just doing this to everybody until everyone around me is taken out.
Perfect. They go down, they tumble down, their leader is down. Li Hua, the people that you were engaged with, that guy in the doorway and these troops are down. You can see a little ways away that Meng is at the top of that cliff, engaged with some troops who have kind of gotten knocked back a bit. There's a leader there with him. And then across the gorge, in this big span across, you will see that Meng is kind of lying on the ground at the top of the cliff with these axe wielders standing above him. What do you want to do?
Okay, first I point to outside and I tell Stone and Tide that this is not over. And then I call for my assistant. I say, Xiao Bao. And so I think he runs over and shows me my one down. Yes, and I head outside to meet with the who is on this side? Ning Yao is on this side.
So you have a like, if you're heading out to like try to engage with people, you've got 3 targets you'd go with. You could go with the troops that are kind of there, a little bit scattered at the top of the cliff close by you. You could go with the leader who's with them, or you could try to leap across the gorge and deal with the people who are threatening Meng with these axes. What sounds coolest to you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and leap across the gorge to deal with nature.
So what element do you want to roll overcome with to make that like you have incredible skills of lightness, but this is quite a distance to leap.
I'm going to say fire because it's about speed.
Then let us have you roll with fire. Holy moly! What does that look like? Like what do we see on screen? Where do you come down? How do you jump? Do you vault over or do you just leap?
Yeah, I think I do a running start, and I do a few back flip in the air, and I actually landed on the other side of the hatchet man.
Absolutely. And they are shocked. Like the axe wielders are like, they see you like fly over, they kind of take a step back, and you know, they're shocked that you made that jump. Meng, what do you do? The tables have been turned.
Yeah, I've been turned. She's over here now. Made the wrong choice.
Yes, right there by you.
God. Like as she was flying over, and all the goons are looking up, Meng is also looking up while he's hanging from the cliff. It's like, whoa, she's so cool.
Beautiful. The last light of dusk is like hitting her, the red sun and the clothes. She's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think he takes this moment as they are distracted to get up from the ledge, and we'll just start talking to the guys. He's just like, hey guys, I don't really want to talk to her right now, so if you guys just want to like block my way for a moment here, that'll be great. And they just begin to fight him, but they don't understand that how he fights, because to Meng Tien, he is just putting himself in positions to hide from Yang Lihua, but in the process, these men are just trying to grab at him, and they keep falling off the edge as he hides from man to man, and eventually, hopefully, they all would have fallen off at that point.
Let's have you roll deal with troops.
I think just
roll with your style element.
Yeah, probably just awareness and flexibility. He's not really looking at them, but he just knows when the swings are coming and kind of just like dodges slightly to left and right.
Perfect.
As he hides to the next person, like cover. That is going to be an 8.
That is an 8. So yeah, you're darting in between. There is the whoa, the Wilhelm scream as a couple of them go off the cliff, and a couple of them try to hit you and are hitting each other and are tangled up. And you see their leader, the guy who's driving the cart, looks furious. He's like, stop, get organized. And we'll come back to you in just 1 second. You've managed to keep yourself sort of out of Li Huan's eyesight for the moment. Let's come back to you on the far side. You kind of scattered these troops, but there's still a leader there. What are you doing, Ning?
So I am going to, realizing that I feel like I kind of showed something that, you know, in this culture would be viewed as quite cowardly. You know, I was thinking from a monastic, like, do less violence, and I'm like, no, you don't do that for somebody who's a friend.
Yeah.
I try to redeem myself by going for the leader and basically kind of come in trying to punch with like the beads in hand.
He is on your scale. He has one of those long wide sabers with the rings on it. Brings that up to try and strike at you. Let's have you roll your style element.
Style element, okay.
So what does that look like? Like he is first pushing you back because the saber is big. He's hitting against your beads, pushing you. How does that tide turn? Like, what do you do to drop him?
So instead of like just trying to take the full front force, I start like hitting the blade slightly so it's going away, and then like at the right moment when he's kind of chopped down, I unfurl the beads, kind of grab it, wrap it around, and kind of twist it such that it goes flying off the cliff, and then wrap it around one of like his arms and like kind of throw him to the ground.
He'll hit the ground. Now, here's my question for you. You can show him mercy and let him escape, or you can keep him here. If you let him escape, you'll get to mark XP.
I won't let him escape this time. I already
Okay.
got XP, so.
Okay. So you kind of hold him down. Let us come to Storm and Tide. Storm and Tide. The troops are cleared. You look outside. You can see that there are some other scattered troops. The leader guy who is in the doorway has run off. You see your friend Ning Yao standing. He's just dropped this saber-wielding leader. And then there's this gorge, and you see this fighting going on the other side of the gorge. What do you do, Storm and Tide?
We on this side of the gorge are safe.
Oh yeah, you're perfectly fine now.
Time to party.
Okay. You are taking advantage of the wine that is perhaps unintended.
Is something like that. But I think I do get the bartender in on it. I like walk up to them, hey, these people are on edge, but we're pretty safe. I think it's better for everybody if we loosen up a little.
I think there's enough blood and enough heroism here that he will put a couple of jugs of wine on the counter there for you. Doesn't count the account. Meanwhile, we come back to Yang Lihua. You're there. And there's this leader. It's like the last foe here who's standing. You notice that Meng Tien is there, but he's kind of ducked behind the cart, weirdly.
Yeah, I think you would have seen Meng like go up to the leaders and be like, hey, I'm just gonna hide in your cart for a second, and just like goes in the cart, pushes him out, and like leaves, like puts himself inside of it.
What do you do, Li Hua?
Yeah, I think I will try to talk to the leader. I was saying like, all your guys are done. All the rest of your guys are done, and your people in the inn are done too. Are you sure you want to keep up with this?
I think he'll look at you, and he saw your leap across the gorge there, and if you give him the opportunity, he will turn and Lightfoot away down, essentially leaving his people here and go to escape. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
And I think we're going to cut forward a little bit to the rope lines that are sort of secondary rope lines on the bridge are pulled back to load that, and we can cut to the four of you at the inn. I think maybe we only see three of you because I think Meng Tien, you are still hiding. So let's start with the question for you of Ning Yao. You've got this guy captured, but you see Storm and Tide there.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
You were here?
I saw you. That was truly glorious combat. You did so well. Have a drink. Celebrations on me.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I'm just kind of like, oh, I would have thought you would have come fight too. Okay, whatever.
I fought. I took care of everyone on this side of the gorge.
True.
Bartender said yes, there was some fighting. Yes.
Okay. Then yeah, then I'll take a drink and go like, how have you been?
Well, same old. Whining, dining, meeting family, having friends, having drinks.
You have family here?
Everybody has family here. These are the two largest clans in the nation.
Ah, I suppose that makes sense. Anyway, it's good to see you, friend.
course, of course. Say,
And-
have you met my friend Li Hua?
Li Hua, you will arrive back. You see Ning Yao, who you know, and Storm and Tide. They surprisingly, the monk has a cup of wine in his hand.
Yeah, I asking, are you supposed to do that? Can you drink that?
Normally I wouldn't in an actual situation, but I was specifically told to experience all that the outside life can give. So
Oh, well then there is much more for me to show you, my friend.
and he kind of like coughs up a little bit. He's like, okay, that was the first time I've actually drank wine.
The second time's much easier, I say, handing him another mug of wine.
I'd believe it. Okay. But yes, I have met Li Hua. Her reputation does precede her.
Oh, well, of course. But that means that, well, where did you two meet, really? I must know. It's so interesting.
I don't know if this was established, but probably like I don't know. How do you think that we would have met our characters, Mona?
Who Asian trial?
Like I was thinking some sort of martial arts tournament or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so paths crossed at that. It's probably the time when you saw Ashen Twilight and Li Hua kind of got in the way, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the first time. I don't tell anybody that, but that's what I immediately think of.
And there's some drinking and some chatting, probably some reminiscing. At what point, Meng Tien, do you finally show your face?
He sees this group. He sees one of his good buds there, a martial artist he really respects. But there is the girl he likes that he embarrassed himself in front of. And I think because he got kind of injured during his escapade, he would first go to the person who usually patches him up after he gets hurt. He wants to be as presentable as possible when he finally sees Li Hua, like just looking good, like a lot better than the last time you saw him, and that person is, of course, the bride, Dawning Joy, is his good friend that always patches him up whenever he needs it.
So you're kind of heading on to up to the estate before anybody can see you. So you're heading on to the estate. We see the three of you chatting, Ning Yao, Storm and Tide, and Li Hua. You have a prisoner. You gather yourselves together. It is getting dark. So I think the three of you know that you need to set off to reach the estate before nightfall. So will you travel together then? Excellent. And I think that is where we are going to stop for today. We will take up with arriving at the wedding at the start of next session. We will start with Meng Tien sneaking quietly in, and then the others arriving perhaps a little more publicly. Everyone may take in advance for next time. That's our kind of a milestone XP, which means you can either give yourself a +1 to one of your elements, or you can take another move from your playbook, or you can take a move from another playbook. So, and we'll check in at the start of the next session to see what choices people have made. Does that sound cool?
Yeah.
I would like to do just a quick stars and wishes, particularly things you liked, but like stuff you definitely want to see next time. Like we got a good solid 3-hour session. what are the notes that you think you'd like really like to hit, or things you want to see? So Austin, is it okay if I start with you on that?
Yeah, I think that I really liked kind of the character drama that we've kind of developed. I'd like to see also, like, I also really like the action. I kind of like more, the martial arts wuxia stuff a little bit also. I know that there's going to be a lot of drama inherent in the wedding. I just don't want that aspect to also kind of be completely subsided, like
Sure.
overcome the other one.
I think that's perfect. We'll try to give that and try to give you some even more space for kind of describing your skills in action.
Yeah, I don't know. I just find that fun.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention, stars or wishes?
I guess I would say star to everybody who played. I really liked Storm and Tide as a character, just being kind of like the smooth talker. That was very funny and entertaining. So
Thank
awesome. Storm and Tide.
you. Okay. Do you want me to do stars or wishes first? I have fewer wishes.
Either way.
Well, big stars, I felt like everybody really understood their character and had a bunch of great character moments. Austin letting those guys go and then running back to finish them off. Great.
yep.
Paul just hiding the whole time. So funny. So good. Great job. And Mona, you did a really I really like the way you balanced the sort of like grace and putting on airs of your character and the like respect everyone has with just being completely blunt and like not mincing words at all.
Yeah.
Really appreciated that. And stars to Lowell for being a great GM, asking great questions, providing great follow-ups. Can't have a session without him.
Yep.
And my wish is we did a lot of action today. We've got one more session. I haven't rolled interconflict even once.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to get deep in that drama.
We will.
Fair enough.
That's a good point. We will get those inner conflicts out on the table next time. Paul.
Yeah, stars again for everyone. Austin, I love the line of like, would you really hit a monk? That's such a like it felt so like in character. I love the party boy vibes from Chris. Just like, hey, I'm here to party, but I guess this is a different, like I have to party like fight wise first before I do the one I want. And it's just very just like, guess I have to do this. And it's really fun. And like I know it was partially dice, but like just the setup of the character of Li Hua and her just like flying across the chasm, it was just so good. And star for Lowell because to like come up with a combat so fast, like right after us just telling him what the setting was. That was like really good. And star for like this, like helping make this game. Because usually I'm pretty good about like keeping track of all the character connections. But then like this is like the most messed up like character map I've
It is pretty intense.
done. I never usually do it, but I'm like, I think they have to map it out, and it just kept getting more confusing. Really
fair enough. Wishes?
Wish for next time. I think I'm open to just like see where the scenes with the other characters go, but like I would like a scene where I ask Dawning Joy for advice of how to approach Li Hua. And how to, yeah,
that'd be interesting.
I think that's a perfect. Awesome. And Mona.
Yeah, so stars everyone. I think we really have a interesting cast of character, like the monk who drinks for the first time.
Yeah.
And the trickster who saved someone to get their favor, and Meng Tien who just hides behind a cart to hide from the person he tried to pursue. And for wishes, I was yeah, I was definitely thinking like hoping Li Hua gets a chance to talk with the groom or the bride and try to like work the Black Lotus agenda to stop the wedding. And I also I also feel like I want to have more fighting at the wedding itself.
Yeah.
And like with the named NPC we have in our entanglements, because why not? That's more dramatic.
Oh yeah, well, definitely some kind of big set piece with the decorations and the butterflies and all of that kind of thing. That sounds great. Great characters. Thank you for the input. Thank you for the suggestions you gave to kind of set the scene. I'm looking forward to playing this out next time. I'm going to stop the recording